So, welcome back to Pon's Tinkering Garage. We're going to continue our series, Anatomical Approach to Human Body Topology. Today, we're going to continue working on this head and hopefully finalize it as well. So, this is where we left it, right? And it's step 11, which is add details to the cheeks and chin. Now, let's do step 12. Right? So, yeah, step 12, it's actually add lips and a loop of chin. Yeah, I've kind of forgot to add this bit. So, yeah, so that's step 12, add lips and a loop of chin. Right? So let's take a look at the template. So this is where we're after, right? So this is the thing, the lips, we all know that, but the loops of chin, basically what I meant is this bit, right? So the thing that will go around to create that loop around the upper edge of the chin, right? So that's what I meant. So let's do it. So first of all, we gotta extrude these edges, right? So however, we gotta extrude it to the middle. So if we do it like this, you will see that they gotta do this weird kind of thing. So what I would like to do is kind of select these and that, right? And we're gonna use our cursor to kind of become the anchor points of that. So yeah, that's it. But first, I think before we kind of move on to extruding, I guess it's a good idea for us to kind of sculpt this a little bit first, because so that they have the correct rough shape, because it's so much easier to do it now than later, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna do this a little bit sculpting, just kind of put this in place and not very much going on, just the rough shape of it. And yeah, I guess that's kind of good, right? So yeah, now we can go back to the same thing. We're just gonna redo the cursor thing, and we will then now go to global and 3D cursor, and we're gonna extrude these edges down a little bit. So let's turn on this. So let's scale it down a little bit more. Now we're gonna extrude this along just the z-axis, right, until it kind of fits the template's border of the chin, which is gonna be something like this. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So that's how it's gonna look like, right? So yeah, now, so these thing, as you can see, these edges is gonna be the border of the lips, right? So when it comes to this model, this is the border of the lips, right? So yeah, so that's it. And so we're gonna have another four horizontal loops on this newly created loops, right? So we've got 2 from the previous, which is this one, and so in total there's gonna be 6, right? However, before that, we're just gonna scoop this in a little bit, because to create a kind of an equal space for this bit, right? So there you go. Now, yeah, so that's it. Now, I think before that, I'm just gonna sculpt it again, right? Because, just gonna sculpt it in. So first, I'm gonna pull this to the front, just following the template, and maybe this probably is the thing that I need to sculpt the most. Right, so something like that. I'm just gonna make it a little bit equal in size, right? So make it a little bit rounder, and yeah, now, this is too much. Pull it back a little bit, pull this to the front a little bit, and yeah, so there you go. Now let's add those 4 extra horizontal loops. right? So now we've got a nice 6 faces, right? So yeah, so there you go. Now these 6 is going to be the thing that's going to be the separation zone, which are gonna going around between the outer part of the mouth and the lips, right? So this is the lips. Now we're gonna shape it again until it looks roughly like this, right? So yeah, let's do it. First, we're gonna pull this down to create that cupid thing, right? That cupid bow, right? So that's pretty much it, and we're gonna pull this down a little bit, and so that yeah, so there you go. This looks roughly correct, right? And yeah, just like I mentioned, that it's kind of easier to get the correct shape right now instead of for later, right? So yeah, this is the rough shape of the corner, the separation zone, and yeah, now we're gonna extrude these edges again to create the lips, right? So again, use the same technique. We're gonna use the cursor to do the thing, and yeah, so let's turn our steps of that and extrude it and scale it down. But first, scale it down, and then we're gonna pull this, we're gonna scale it along just the Z axis, right? So something like that, probably. Yeah, something like that, right? So there you go. Now, yeah, so we're gonna pull this to the back a little bit, so they kind of go inside a little, and we're gonna extrude it again, and right now it just goes straight along the Y axis, and then we're gonna extrude it again, and right now we're gonna scale it up, so this is gonna be kind of the bridge, a kind of a bridge between the lips and the mouth cavity that we're gonna create later. So yeah, so now let's sorry for that. Now let's scale it up, scale it along the Z, maybe not so much on the X, and yeah, so let's see, we need to scale it up a little bit more, right? And yeah, now I guess that's cool, right? So yeah. Now the thing is, now we're gonna sculpt the lips. However, we are lacking some geometry, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add 3 on this bit, and we're gonna subdivide the middle bit into 2, and this one we're gonna subdivide it into 3 horizontal loops. So in the end, we've got 4 in the outer part of the lips and another 4 on the inside part of the lips, right? So there we go. Now we have kind of enough geometry to do the whole thing, right? I'm just gonna soften it a little bit, and yeah, now just kind of sculpt it until it looks like lips, right? So the thing is, I would notice that in this part of tutorial, I realized that it's a little bit more heavy on the sculpting part, right? Because the thing is, the big block of the head is already kind of settled on the previous part. So on this part, we just mainly we'll do a lot of sculpting to get the shape kind of right? So that's what we're gonna do. So probably I would also kind of skip forward some part of this, right? So because this thing is gonna take a lot of time if I kind of show you the whole thing. So probably depending on the necessity of it, I'm just gonna skip it a little bit. Sorry, I mean the fast forward it a little bit. So it's not gonna kind of bore you to death to see me sculpt the whole thing, right? So yeah, now it's pretty much done, right? The lips, they look kind of like lips, I would say that. and yeah, so probably pull this a little bit, right? Yeah, that's okay. Now probably pull the head bit to the front, right? So yeah, now it's pretty much done. And so here's the trick to make the lips shaping business a little easier, right? So we're gonna go to layout, back to layout, and we're gonna create our very first vertex groups, two vertex groups, and it's gonna be for the lower and the upper lips, right? So let's do it. So let's call it upper lips, right? And we're gonna assign this bit. So this is the thing. It's gonna be here. I would say that. So yeah, that's cool. And we're gonna assign this to the vertex group, right? So let me check it. Yeah, it's cool. So I'm gonna select this manually, right? And we're gonna assign it to the upper lips, right? And we're gonna also create another one, and we call it lower lips, right? However, I'm gonna check this first. Okay, now it's selected. Now what we're gonna do is, yeah, to do the lower lips part, right? So this is gonna be that. Go that here, here. I'm just gonna select this very quickly so that it's a little bit quicker. I would say that. So okay, now that's good. Now we decided to the lower lips, right? So now maybe now it's not. Now it's pretty much settled because it already looks like lips. But the thing is, it's good to have the vertex groups now so that later on when you kind of make details on the lips, it's gonna be there for ease. So you can sculpt it better later, right? So now I'm actually gonna use it right now. So let's go to the upper lips and let's hide it, because right now I wish to kind of shape the lower lip a little better, right? So now we can just pull this up and create that kind of bow shape thing. Let's see it from the profile, and I think it's looking good. Now we can just do that and do the other way around. So the top part looks kind of okay already. So maybe this is down a little bit, and this one something like that, to create that kind of bow shape thing. And yeah, now, so here's the thing that I would like to do. So do you see that these lines is kind of straight, right? So the thing is, it's not, when you kind of create this straight line, you will see that a lot of edges or faces is kind of concentrated in this corner of the mouth, right? So what I would do is kind of scoop this up to the middle a little bit, so that the corner part of the mouth doesn't get all the faces too much. So yeah, that's what I would like to do right now. Just kind of scoop it in to the middle to create a little bit more balance distribution of the edges. So maybe I would use the edit mode to make it a little bit quicker, right? So yeah, so that's what I did, and probably pull it back a little bit down to recreate the shape of here. So let's see. Yeah, it's kind of okay, I would say that. Yeah. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the lower bit, right? So I'm gonna scoop it in to the middle. Okay, now that looks okay. Right now we just have to kind of pull this back up to kind of from the shape that we did, right? So okay, so yeah, so let's show the everything again. Now this looks a little bit better, lips, right? And so yeah, so here's the thing. The one thing that we want to do when it comes to creating the lips is that we don't want it to make the upper and lower lips meet, right? It's going to be a lot easier in rigging when they are kind of separated, right? So yeah, the lips is kind of okay right now. And next we're going to deal with the chin lobe, right? So this is the separation zone, right? So from that bit to that bit, right? This is one of the two of the alar loops, right? So to make the chin loop, we gotta get the second face after the. So this is the side of the face, right? And we're gonna get the second face of the first alar, which is this one. So this and that, we're gonna delete it, right? So we're gonna subdivide this horizontally and subdivide this vertically, right? So now what we can do is reconnect the left bit to the top bit and just fill, and from the right bit to the top bit, right? So if you see right now is that what we create is this, we still have the nice, the separation zone has a nice loop here, and the alar zones also have a good loop around to the bottom of the chin. Meanwhile, this one creates that loop, right? So maybe it's a little bit easier to see if I will just copy it right now. So something like this. Pull this back, and probably we're gonna have to scoop this in a little, right? So scoop it in a little bit. Okay. Probably just there. Scoop it in. This one also scoop it in, so that we got roughly equal bit of equal space, so to speak, of the edges, right? So now we're just gonna pull this to the front. We have kind of smoothed it a little bit too much, so it's kind of lost its shape, right? So there is how it looks like when it's corrected. So as you can see now that we got a clear loop around the separation zone, and the alar also has a clear loop, and this one creates the chin of the loop of the chin, right? So yeah, next we're gonna make sure that the lips have a nice 24 loops, right? So because if we check this in, this is a nice 24, because the thing about 24 is it's a nice round number, and you can divide it by 2 and you can divide it by 3. So I figured that is a good number of loops to have in the lips area. So as of right now, if we calculate this, you would notice that we still have 22 loops, right? Faces, I mean. So we are kind of 2 loops short, right? So first, that what we're gonna do is that if you notice if you go to our template here, you would notice that actually this is something that I kind of forgot on the previous part, because the thing is, this part actually should have 5 instead of 4, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So we're just gonna scoop this in and out to make space for the 5th subdivision line there, and yeah, so that's it. So that's the first. Now if you check, it's 23, and the last one actually come from the chin area, right? So you will notice that right now this part, so this is the pole, right? And you would notice that between the pole and the middle bit there is 4 faces, right? And meanwhile at the bottom here you will notice there's only 3 before the pole of the chin loop here. So that's exactly where we're gonna pull. We're gonna put our last loop here. We're just gonna scoop this out a little bit, and we're gonna make that new vertical loop, making it in total 4, the same number as this, right? So if we check right now, we have a nice 24 faces, right? So yeah, and I guess let's scope it a little bit just to kind of get that new loops going, right? So yeah, that's the. So probably this is already good enough that we can actually start using the lighting. So this is how it looks like when it's in shaded mode. Now it's still plain white. So yeah, that's it for step 12, right? So now we're gonna go to step 13, add eyelids, and yeah, so let's do that. So first, I would say that what we're gonna do is to kind of enlarge the eye opening here. As you can see, this is how wide it's supposed to be. The thing is that we have kind of smoothed this part a lot previously, that we kind of lost its shape, I would say that. So now we're just gonna enlarge it back to the shape again, right? So yeah, let's do it. Now that looks okay. Yep. Something like that, yeah. So now let's see from the profile, because that's also a main concern. Before we kind of extrude stuff in and out, we better to have a nice rough shape first, right? So yeah, now that's good. Yeah, so that's a good opening for the eye, right? And yeah, so as if you can see right now that we have a nice, if you check this, we got a nice 20 edges, 20 loops around the opening of the eyelids. However, we're gonna add another 2 loops for the middle bit, right? So we're gonna have 10 loops for the upper eyelid and another 10 loops for the lower eyelid, and we're gonna have 2 middle loops that connect the middle part, each one for the inner and the outer edge, right? So for the outer edge, we're gonna add it in these loops, right? So right now there is 6, right? So this 3 creates the loops of the orbit, while this 3 creates the outer edge of the eye. So we're gonna scoop this in a little, and we're gonna add another vertical loop there. Yeah, so right now we will have 7 faces instead of 6, and yeah, for the inner edge we're gonna add somewhere around this loop, right? So right now we've got 10, right? So if we scoop this in and out, I think we will add it here. So I'm gonna just scoop it, make space for that. So maybe this, yeah. So now if you check, we've got a nice 11 faces, right? Yeah, so we're gonna, so first I think it's kind of easy for you to see if we kind of mark the middle part, right? So this is the middle part, and we're gonna take 10 edge, right? Another one, right? So this one is gonna be the middle part as well. So let's put it there. So that is gonna be the middle part, which is gonna connect that way, right? So yeah. So first, let's take these edges and we're gonna extrude it. Let's see. So this is our, probably I should move on with the template. So step 13, right? So yeah, so probably it seems that we're gonna have to pull this in a little bit more before we do further stuff, right? So we're gonna pull this to the middle, and we're gonna scope it again to the top part. So probably it's bigger than I expect it to be, right? So it's okay. Now, yeah, I think that's, yeah, so maybe pull this a little bit to the top, right? And yeah, probably that is a good space already, right? So yeah, now we are ready to kind of extrude these edges, right? So first let's extrude it, right? And we probably just go to box center again. So we're gonna extrude it, scale it, and we're gonna move it to the front, right? And as of right now, it's okay if it looks kind of weird. Sorry for that. And yeah, so that's good, right? I know that looks kind of creepy to have this kind of poking eye. However, that's okay. We're gonna pull this back to shape, right? So maybe this one as well, right? Doesn't need to be that protruding, to be honest. So yeah, just gonna smooth it out a little bit, and yeah, as of right now, you don't have to worry about the shape, about the protrusion. We're gonna deal with it later. However, what we're gonna have to deal with is to kind of get the general shape of the eye a little bit closer to the template, and yeah, I think that's cool, right? Let's pull it back to the middle edge here, and yeah, I think that's quite good, right? And next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna extrude it and scale it down a little bit. So this part is gonna be kind of that fleshy part inside our eyelid, the middle part of the eyelid, I would say that. Yeah, so this is gonna be that. So yeah, so I guess that's it, and probably we're gonna pull this in a little bit, something like that, and yeah, so that's it. Now, here's the thing. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna add a subdivision here. We're gonna subdivide it twice, and yeah, let me see. So, and also this one, I'm gonna subdivide it once. And what we want to do is basically to redirect this part here to the outer part. So we want this to connect to that. I would say that. No, yeah, it's I think it's correct though, right? Let's put this out a little bit, right? So this connects to that, I suppose. And but the problem, I would say, is this. So this one goes there, right? Oh, sorry. Right? Something like that. But the problem is that we also have to delete this as well. And delete this as well. And we're going to connect that to that instead. So yeah, I think that's correct, right? Yeah, so that's how you do it. So here's what I will do it again confidently. So what you're gonna do is to delete these two faces, these 6 faces, right? And we're gonna connect that to this. Sorry, the fill thing, something like that. And we're gonna connect this to that, and we're gonna dissolve edge here, and we're gonna connect that there, and yeah, that's it, right? So yeah, that works. So the thing is, I'm not really sure what goes wrong the first time around, and probably I should kind of check my recording to see what I kind of did wrong. So yeah, so let's just smooth it out a little bit, and sorry for that, and yeah, we're just gonna extrude it again and pull it back a little bit, and I'm gonna scale it up, and this is gonna be the bridge for the eye cavity, and yeah, so that's, there you go. Now we will do exactly the same thing as the front part. We're just gonna do the exact opposite of it, but before that I'm just gonna sculpt it a little bit better, right? So that it doesn't kind of spray too much to the side, just like what we did with the lips, right? So yeah, that's good. Now I'm gonna subdivide it by 2, right? And we will do exactly the same. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna delete this middle part. So let's try do that. So this one goes there, this one goes there, and oh sorry, so I'm gonna subdivide this first. This goes there, this goes there, and this goes there again, and yeah, so let's yeah, so let's subdivide it by twice, and this can connect to there, this connects to there, this connects to there, this there. So yeah, voila, now it's exactly the same, right? Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's pull it up. And yeah, so it should be, I should select the middle bit instead of the other, right? So this is the, again, this is the fixed version of it, right? So we're gonna delete this 6 part, right? And we're gonna subdivide this thing, and we're gonna connect this to that, right? And this to that. And we're gonna reconnect that to that, subdivide it twice, and pull it back, something like this, something like that, and voila, yeah. So the thing about this is that it's actually kind of simple, but if you kind of did it wrong, the thing is, I'm not really sure what I did wrong earlier. I should check my recording for that. And how long are we? So it's already 47 minutes. So yeah, that's okay. Now I think we just gonna have a long recording, and I'm gonna probably cut some part out. So yeah, so first let's scope it. Yeah, so yeah, now it's good time for us to sculpt it, right? So to create a nice shape around the eyelid. Probably we're gonna pull this to the front. So also this one as well. And we're gonna smooth it out. Make sure that it's kind of round. Yeah, something like that. And probably we're gonna make the eyelid a little bit thicker. So it's not kind of crispy kind of thing. So yeah, so let's scope it again and let's open this. Okay, now it's good to create that kind of look, that kind of shape, and yeah, something like that, right? That is good. And probably we're gonna pull this up, pull this back. I'm gonna pull this a little bit more front. This, yep, something like that. As it so happens that we're supposed to add another subdivision in the middle bit here. So yeah, so probably that's the reason why it's kind of crispy the first time around. So because there's just not enough geometry there. Yeah, I think I just noticed that that's how I'm supposed to do it. Yeah, that's okay though. So yeah, that's final shape of it. Now it's tubed down a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, now that's good. Now that's pretty good, right? So let's see, what is the next? I guess that's it for the eyelid part, right? So for that, now let step 14, create the jaw and add details to the forehead area and the neck. So yeah, so let's do it. So this is actually quite simple, but again, this we're gonna add a lot of subdivision again, right? As you would notice right now that we've got a good thing going on around this front part of the face, right? But not so much on the rest, right? So we will be connecting these, these loose ends, right? First, we're gonna add an extra horizontal loop around this bottom part of the chin, right? So we're gonna scoop it in and add another one, and we can scoop it. So we got a nice tree here and a nice tree there, totaling 6 on this area, on this bottom part of the chin. So yeah, now we're gonna add a vertical loop here, dividing this big thing into this big plane into two, right? The left side here will connect to this, and this part will connect to that, right? So yeah. So for this, yeah, let's do it. Now let's subdivide it twice so that we can connect that to that. And for the side of the neck, right? So let's check our template here and turn on 14. So as for the side of the neck here, you will see that we've got 5 vertical loops, right? And so that's what we're gonna do. So first, I'm gonna scoop this to the left a little bit, so we can divide this once and divide this twice so that we've got a nice 5 in there, right? So we're gonna connect that, and we're gonna add 3 horizontal loops right there, because now we can connect everything, right? So yeah, so that's it for these loose ends. Now we're gonna deal with the forehead, right? So just like the brow, remember that we have 7 faces here, so we're gonna have equal number of 7 horizontal loops on the forehead area. So I'm gonna add 2 here, and I'm gonna add 3. So this is gonna be 7, right? So yeah, now I think we can scope it, right? Now this is now we have this a lot of new geometry. I'm gonna scoop this in for a bit to kind of make it to the side, right? So we have got this beautiful extra geometry that we can sculpt and play with, and we're gonna do that. Probably the last bit is that the neck area. As you can see, that the neck has 6 horizontal loops. That's something that I haven't done here. So, but first I'm gonna pull this up so that it gives a little bit more space for the neck, right? So yeah, we're gonna add 2 subdivision on each of these, right? So we've got a total 6 faces right there. So yeah, now I'm just gonna sculpt this a little bit until I kind of happy with the overall shape. Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, like, I can fix it later in finalizing part. So now we're gonna do step 15, add the ears and cavity, and finally finalizing the head shape. Okay, first we're gonna add both the mouth and the eye cavity, right? So for the mouth cavity, we will make a cube, right? So we're gonna add another cube, mass cube, and we're gonna make it 4 centimeters in size, right? And we're gonna put it, so let's turn on my template here. That is template. So I'm gonna put it somewhere around here. As you can see, that my template even has that boxy shape on it, which is okay, because that's to show you the origin of this. So we're gonna add subdivision there, do the cutting again, and add a mirror, right? So for its subdivision, we will have 4 along the z-axis, right? And we're gonna have 16 along the z-axis, and it will have the same 16 along the y-axis, right? So here's the thing about the cavity, is that it's a good place to redirect the loops. I would say that. As you can see right now, that we've got a total 24 loops, which is 24 loops in the cavity, in this cube, which is gonna become the cavity, and we have exactly the same number of it in our lips, right? Which is 24. And so, but the thing is, 24 multiplied by 2, left and the right side, and we'll get 48, right? Now, logically, if we are to divide them equally, we will get 12 on each side. So if you cut it in half, there's going to be 6 in here, in the x-axis, and 12 in the z-axis, and which is another 4, which is another 6 in the x-axis again. So 6, 12, 6. But instead, logically, yes, 6, 12, 6 is going to divide this box into equal shape, right? Equal number of loops in each side. But we can now instead redirect the loops. So instead of 6, 12, 6, I made it 4, 16, 4. And why? Well, because I only need 4 vertical loops to go down the neck here. As you can see, this is 4 and this is 4. So I only need 4 to go down the neck. If I have 6, I will kind of pull more on these loops in total, right? So yeah, so let's do that. So let me see. Okay, now let's join the cube here, and I think before we do that, we gotta delete the front faces first, so that it's kind of easier to do now than later, right? So we're gonna delete the face. So this is a cool trick that I learned. So we can use a smooth corrective, something like that. Sure, good. So now what we can do is that we can use, maybe not here, though. So pin boundaries. Okay. Now it's, yeah, this is good. So the thing is, if right now it's really boxy, right? So what I'm gonna do is that we're gonna add a little bit of curve to this so that it's kind of easier, it's kind of more normal and organic thing to be. So yeah, let's do that, and let's reconnect this to that, and let's join this to the vertex group again, cavity side, and right now we will gotta join this part to the lips. So this to that, right? 2, 3, 4, and this one 4, 3, 4, and we're just gonna do that, and voila. So yeah, we're gonna add some, but first I'm gonna sculpt it first, so that to kind of ease in this edges here, that poking edges, and we're gonna add probably I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. So we're gonna add, sorry for that, we're gonna add something like that, maybe 4 horizontal loops, right, to create a nice curve. So it's something that it looks kind of equally divided topology kind of thing. So yeah, just gonna do it, just gonna sculpt it a little bit, and yeah, so let's see my, okay, that's the thing is, probably this is a little bit curved, a little bit too much. So yeah, now it looks good, right? The cavity for this, I'm gonna smooth this part a little, and yeah, voila, now we've got the cavity for the mouth, and we're gonna do exactly the same thing with the eye, right? So let's recreate another cube. For this one, let's set it to 3 centimeters, and we're gonna put it up here, somewhere around there, and we're gonna put it right in the middle of the eye loop there, right? So put it back to the collection and hide it. Now for this one, we don't have to put this, we're gonna have to mirror this because it's gonna be left and right thing, so we don't have to mirror this right now. So yeah, so as for its subdivision, we're gonna have 4 loops, again the same 4 loops around on the x-axis, right, and 4 loops along the y-axis, and we're gonna have 7 on the z-axis, right? So we're gonna use exactly the same trick like we did earlier, right? We're gonna use only smooth, and we're gonna use this slider to make it a little bit round. So apply this. So kind of forget to kind of sorry for that. So there's kind of a bug in my OBS. I'm gonna delete this now, right? So yep, and now we are gonna connect this to that again, and we're gonna assign this to the cavity, and yeah, now we're gonna reconnect everything. So the thing that we're gonna use right now is actually this. This is the middle, right? So probably I'm gonna pull this back a little bit first so that they don't kind of overlap with the cube. Yeah, something like that. So probably a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna pull this back. So I think it's good. Now we're gonna reconnect this middle bit to the 7, to the 4th of the 7. So this is the first phase, second, third, and 4th down, and we're gonna connect that to that, and this one to the same of the other side, some here, and yeah, something like that. Okay, let's fill this in. Okay, now we're gonna add some, maybe the same, something like that, and we're gonna sculpt it, right? So do the same, just like what we did with the cavity of the mouth, and okay, which is good. Now it's good round shape, and yeah, that's it for the cavity. Now our head is exactly closed, right? So there's no loose ends except for the neck, right? So this is how it looks like. Just kind of good. And now what we're gonna do is that the last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add the ear, right? And yeah, so here's the thing, I'm not gonna create the ear from scratch, because the thing is, if you get the female base mesh model that I shared on my Gumroad store, you will notice that they are exactly the same. I created once back then, and I don't really bother to kind of recreate it again and again. So even myself. I mean, like I just copy and paste it. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. So yeah, just go to my Gumroad store and you can download the ear bit for free, or you can take it from my previous model, or if you have your own ear geometry, you can just use it as well. Because the thing about the ear is that it's the least important part of the head. It doesn't move, animate, or deform most of the time. So what's important is, if you take a look at this, so I'm gonna duplicate it and separate it, and I'm gonna move it to the head here, and yeah, something like that. So the important thing about the ear is that it has 32 loops around it for this particular head, right? So yeah, now let's delete some faces, right? So we're gonna select these 7 horizontal loops that comes from the brow, right? So 1, 7, right? And it's gonna be this 3. We're gonna use it along these 3 vertical loops, right? So we're gonna select 7 from here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're gonna add 4 horizontal loops down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So and then 3 vertical wide. So yeah, so in total it's gonna be like 11 faces long and 3 faces wide, right? So yeah, now we can delete this faces, and let's go to sculpting, and let's see reshape. Now we're just gonna have to reshape the entire thing to the template so that it kind of looks more or less similar. So okay, let's move it back, front. Yeah, so there is the opening for the ear, right? So now let's join the ear bit to the head, right? So this one to there, and let's join them, and now we can start joining the vertices. So these 3 bits at the bottom is the and the other 3 at the top, which is this one, is gonna be like the anchor point, the important point that we will kind of use to kind of merge the other. So we will do them first, right? So I'm gonna merge this, that, and this one as well. So here, and yeah, so now let's move on to the front part. Let me see. Check, it's 11. Yeah, let's do it. So it's gonna be a little bit out of sync, and that's okay. We're gonna sculpt it later. Okay, now yeah, so as the back part, you will notice that there are some differences, right? So in number of loops, there are 15 around the ear and only 11 on the head, right? So what we're gonna do is that we will add extra 4 horizontal loops to the head. So yeah, so let's do that. So let's scoop it in. Maybe add it twice, maybe 3. Yeah, that's good. And we're gonna add another one here. I'm just gonna, so now it's already 15, so I'm just gonna scoop it in so that it kind of fits the geometry of the ear. Okay, for visible. So yeah, so let's check this. We're gonna move this a little bit to the back a little bit so that we get to see it a little bit clearer. Now we can start merging these, right? Voila! Now we've got a connected ear, right? So I'm just gonna scope it in a little bit to make it a little bit better. So yeah, let's go shade it, and there you go. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. We've gone through 4 very long steps, and let me check my OBS. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes long, and it's really a long steps from step 12 to step 15. And I guess that's it for the neck, for the head part, for the whole head part. We've done it. It's pretty much done. Now, before we'll move on to the next part of the body, I would like to make something extra on the next part. So yeah, I guess I'll see you there.